to it. Were you able to have access to it? Yes, let's hear you, Emmanuel.
Madam, I couldn't access the recordings. I
But
tried several times. I couldn't get it.
I think they have you had any recordings before?
No, please.
Okay, so
The link they gave to us, I tried several times, but it was not opening.
okay. Okay, so
Thank
it
you.
means that have you also asked your colleagues how they were able to have access to it?
I asked the court rep, and he told
Mm-hmm.
me that he will forward it to me. But since
Oh,
then,
okay.
he has not. Later on, he said he's sick, so he will do it that in the future.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
That's fine. Um, yes, Bonzi, let's hear you.
No, please, we record the class. It's being shared on their page for them to watch on YouTube. So all the classes that you have, it's being recorded. So if he's on the platform, the link is shared there for him to access it on YouTube.
Okay, so Emmanuel, that is that if you are on the platform, the link is sent for you to access it. So that you have to probably know the navigation, the process. If you are supposed to click on the link and probably you pass through another process, you may not have it. So that is what Bonzi is saying. So try as much as possible to navigate your way around and get access to the recordings. It will be very helpful for you. Okay. Yes, Emmanuel, do you still have issue?
Thank you, madam. Thank you. I'll do that.
Okay. Okay, let me stop sharing this. Yeah. Okay. Yes, last week we treated ethnicity and nationalism. And so we'll complete ethnicity and then move on to another one so that by next week we would have completed the. Okay. We learned that ethnicity categorizes people based on cultural traits, beliefs, ancestry, language, and other common experiences. We also learned that there are key points or aspects of ethnicity that we have to bear in mind, such as cultural identity, So because ethnicity is tied to cultural ID, where people belong to this ethnic group. For instance, we have people who belong to the Akan ethnic group, the Ga, Dangbe, Ewe, okay? And those from the northern, they can also talk about Mampusi and Porterview. We also trace our ethnicity through ancestral heritage, okay? Involve a sense of common ancestry. Some people trace their ancestry to people migrating from Egypt, people migrating from Nigeria. Literature sometimes say that Ghana people had their ancestors migrated from Nigeria. All these things we get to know when we read literature extensively. Okay. Also learn that ethnicity is connected to language and communication. Okay. If it's language and communication, it means that we have ethnic groups who are familiar with one language or many languages, but they still have dominant language that they use. Okay, you realize that the Akan ethnic group, they have the Akan language, which tree is mostly dominating it. Okay, and normally it's tree that the Akan people use to communicate. We have the Ashanti tree, we have a Piapim tree, and we even have Kwau tree. We also have the Fantis. The Fanti. They are all Akan languages, but they are different Akan languages. And they are all spoken in the Akan ethnic group or among the Akan ethnic groups. There is also the issue of shared symbols and traditions. Okay. In the I think somebody's mic is on. So put it off, please, so that we concentrate. Okay. So we have shared symbols and traditions. Okay. With the ethnic groups, whenever you see some symbol, it's associated with some ethnic group. Okay. And the moment you see that, even their traditional activities, their rituals, okay. For instance, when you see a group of people, okay, dancing agbaja, okay, the symbol of dancing during Hogbachocho, quickly you know that these people are from Ewes, okay, their ethnic group, they are within the Ewe group. The same thing when you see the people or women or priestesses with white clothes around their mid portion of the body, with leaves around their neck and carrying all sorts of things, and then spread themselves or their body with white powder. Quickly, you know that these are Ga people. So symbols and traditions and rituals are connected to ethnicity. There is also the issue of community and social solidarity. Okay, ethnicity also fosters some form of social solidarity among its members, so that even when you travel outside and you see your colleague or another person from your ethnic group, the moment the person speaks, you know that, oh, this person is from my or part of me. Okay, even if a person is a Ghanaian, you still zoom down to your ethnic group. There is also the issue of social organization. Ethnic groups often have specific social structures, norms, and rules that guide interactions within the community. So, for instance, the various ethnic groups, which is mainly about 5 or 6 ethnic groups in Ghana, they have a way of installing chiefs. The way the Akans install chief is different from the way the Gans or the Ewes install chiefs. So social organization and how they have their social structures, norms, and rules are different when it comes to ethnicity. There is also the issue of ethnic diversity. Okay, many countries and regions are characterized by ethnic diversity with multiple ethnic groups coexisting within a larger population. Okay, so when it comes to ethnicity, this diversity can contribute to richness of society, but may also pose challenges related to intergroup relations. Okay, so for instance, let's look at Ghana. We have not less than 5 ethnic groups in this country. And so because of these, we have diversity among us in the form of even the food that we eat, the dressing, the language, the festivals that we celebrate. Okay. And so we all have these unique characteristics among our ethnic groups. But these characteristics can still make us strong for us to ensure peaceful coexistence. At the same time, it can also create tension. Okay, so for instance, look at how ethnic groups or politicians play the ethnic card when it comes to politicization or political activities in the country. Okay, some people will think that why should we have 2 people from the northern region become president and vice president at the same time? Okay, but because of our diversity, politicians have used this scenario to ensure that if you are having a northerner as a president, then we should have a southerner as a vice president. And it has played out. It has played out since Rawlings' time. Rawlings from the Volta region took Accra as Accra from the Western region as the vice, and then later took Mahama, okay, from the north, took Atamos, okay, took Atamos from the Central region, and then Atamos took Mahama from the northern region. So you see, politicians try as much as possible to blend the diversity that we have in our ethnic groups so that we have peaceful coexistence. Okay. There is also the issue of intersectionality. Ethnic diversity or identity intersects with other aspects of identity, such as gender, socioeconomic status, and nationality. Okay, so let's look at the Akan ethnic group, and then let's zoom down to individuals within the Akan ethnic group. We have the Kwaus, we have the Ashantis, we have the Bruns, okay, we have the Ahantas and what have you. We are all within the Akan ethnic group, but we have different identity, and the way we also treat the relationship among males and females differ. Okay, in some communities, probably a man all the time, a man is supposed to head the family when it comes to meetings, and what have you. In some communities, they see that when it comes to meetings, they will rather prefer a queen mother who is a woman to also lead them. So it depends on how they play their card and how the gender relationship is played out. That is when, even before colonialism, okay, I can't believe that the instrument of kin should be based or from the maternal side, so that a woman from the royal home should give birth for the person to be installed as a king. But the moment colonialism took over, they just took anybody to be king, and that created a lot of conflict in our social system. But luckily, we have come back to realize that there were some misunderstanding, there was some kind of alteration. So now gradually, the chieftaincy conflicts that we had immediately after independence is dying down. People are knowing their bearings. They are now interconnecting so that whatever they were using or they were relying on for the queen mother to nominate a potential king to be installed is now gradually taking shape. But when the colonial masters came, they messed things up. They just look at the family and choose anybody that they trust. But before colonialism, we were choosing or nominating kings based on our matrilineal heritage. Okay. There is also the issue of ethnic conflict and cooperation when it comes to ethnicity. As I indicated, in some ethnic groups, they like to ensure that there is peaceful coexistence, even if there are some disputes and misunderstanding. And so, if cooperation and conflict issues are resolved in among ethnic groups, then it's an aspect of ethnicity. Some people think that, oh, these ethnic groups, they like fighting too much. All the time you hear them fighting. Oh, this ethnic group, oh, they are always peaceful. You haven't heard them even declaring any kind of misunderstanding. So all boils down to the kind of ethnic group we are talking about. So with ethnicity, one aspect is that there is some kind of conflict and there is some kind of cooperation. Ethnicity is also characterized with a dynamism. Okay, ethnic is not static, it is fluid or can evolve, so that there is changes in our cultural practices, migration, interaction with other groups of people. Okay, so whereas some ethnic groups were probably loving the issue of killing people or performing human sacrifice, so that these people journey with their kings. Now it's no more. Even if they want to kill a living, they will kill an animal, maybe a white sheep or a bull or a cow. Okay, so that is why we say it's fluid and it's dynamic. It changes, evolves. Okay, so understanding ethnicity is crucial for appreciating the diversity of human societies and addressing issues related to cultural identity, social cohesion, and intergroup relationships. However, it is important to approach the concept with sensitivity. Okay, as a comparativist or comparative analysis student, you have to know all these things so that when you are making comparison among ethnic groups or among group of people, you become sensitive to address or to make any argument. Okay. Is there any question? Is there any question? Bright and Emmanuel, is there any question?
Please,
Yes.
madam, there is no question.
Okay, so you understand what we are discussing now?
Yes, madam.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So we'll continue. Now we are shifting our attention to nationalism. The first lecture we were talking about nation building, state formation. So after ethnicity, we want to dwell on nationalism. Okay. Nationalism is a political or social or cultural ideology that emphasizes the collective identity. And so when you talk about nationalism, you're talking about having interest in your country, having the love. Okay. It's a strong sense of patriotism. So that even when you are watching football, okay, even if your team, the Ghana Blasters, is beaten, you still support the team because of the love and the interest you have for the nation. So it's also characterized with national identity. Okay, nationality revolves around a shared national identity. So this identity is often defined by commonalities such as language, culture, history, and traditions. Okay, so our national ID, like we mentioned earlier, comes with some kind of the language. Okay, so for instance, when you enter, even if you are a foreigner and you enter Ghana, you see the Akwaba symbol. So Akwaba, the language, wherever you are over the world, Akwaba is associated with Ghana. Okay, so the national identity we have, Akwaba from the Akan language says welcome. Recently, there has been some kind of controversy that Ga people are also saying that we should also translate Akwaba into Ga, so that when people move to the country, they can also see the Ga language. But it doesn't matter. We are one people with one destiny, or common destiny. And so that is why a lot of people in the country are also learning the Akan language, because Twi is dominating everywhere, even in the northern parts. If the person is unable to speak English, the person is able to speak Twi aside the mother tongue. So when you see Akwaba anywhere, you associate it with Ghana. Okay, that is a national identity, same as the Adwa dance. Adwa dance is associated with the Ashantis. But once we are talking about nationality, it's associated with Ghana. The same thing applies to the Ghana flag as well as the Kente. Okay. Yeah. So patriotism and love for the nation. Nationalism is associated with this patriotism and love for the nation. So nationalists express a deep love and loyalty to their nation. This sentiment is often associated with pride in the nation's achievements and commitments to its well-being. Okay, so that people, even if there is kind of disturbances or war in your country and you flee from the country, the moment you flee, you still have the love for the country, and the least opportunity you have, you want to come back after you have settled wherever you are. And that is the love that you have for the nation. There is also the issue of cultural expression. Nationalism can be expressed through cultural symbols, traditions, literature, and arts that celebrate and reinforce the uniqueness of the nation's identity. Okay, so that wherever you are and you see people uh, waving the national flag or singing the national anthem, especially during football, okay, how we express ourselves is for the players to sing our national anthem. And the moment we do that, it shows that we love ourselves. Okay. Also, when it comes to literature, okay, literature and arts, wherever you are, when you see the Sankofa symbol, you see, oh, this one is associated with Ghana. So you see, the moment you see it, you feel the love. Oh, this is from Ghana. Though some people are copying, it's still the symbol of Ghana. Okay. One feature of nationalism is also political movements. Okay. Nationalist movements can take the form of political activism or struggle for self-determination. Okay. These movements may seek independence. So when we talk about nationalism or independence struggle, the nationalists led by Kwame Nkrumah and co, they formed movements and then later formed political parties. Okay, so if the nationalists are seeking for self-governance or sovereignty from exploitation or colonialism, you see that they will form political parties or movements so that they will ensure that they fight to liberate themselves. There is also the issue of national sovereignty. Okay, nationalism eventually results in having freedom and ensuring that no country will intervene or interfere in the affairs of your nation. And so, national sovereignty, you are talking about having autonomy or sovereignty to take decision, form army, and what have you, protect your people, okay, from external influence or aggression. That is why we have the sovereignty and power to mount borders or barricades on the borders of the country. Because we are a sovereign nation, we have the power and authority to block our way to our country, okay, because we are autonomous. There is also the issue of historical narrative. When you talk about nationalism, you are talking about historical narratives that highlight the nation's achievements, the struggle for independence, and moments of collective significance. So when you go to museums, Accra, we have the Kwame Nkrumah Museum. When you go there, there are some people who continue to narrate how Kwame Nkrumah helped Ghana to have independence from the colonial masters. And so all the time, because of the national interest and because of the love that we have for our nation, all the time we narrate historical accounts and historical events for people to also acknowledge what we have as a nation and the love that we have. There is also the issue of nation states. the concept of nation state, where the sovereign state corresponds to specific national groups, is closely linked to nationalism. Okay, the nation state model aims to align political and national boundaries. Okay, last time we learned about nation states and how nations are built and how states are formed. Okay, so when we talk about nation states, we are talking about the country and how we as people connect to form our structures of governance, our military base, our judiciary, our legislature, okay, our institutions that form that are formed to fight corruption and all that we talk about when it comes to system of governance in a nation. Okay, so where a country like Ghana has attained sovereignty from colonial masters, is able to build the nation or form a state. And if they are able to do that, then it means that we have been able to organize when it comes to politics, when it comes to development, when it comes to, adjudication of cases, when it comes to ensuring that there is peace in the country. Okay. Other features of nationalism, we are talking about ethnic and civic nationalism. Okay. So we have already discussed ethnicity. Okay. And so ethnic nationalism, we are talking about shared ethnicity, language, and ancestry, while civic nationalism is based on a common commitment to political values and citizenship. And so look at the two, civic nationalism, okay, and ethnic nationalism. Where you talk about ethnic nationalism, you are making reference to ethnicity and how some ethnic groups have this kind of the national love and interest. And then you see this civic nationalism talking about how committed or an individual is to a political value or citizenship of a nation. There is also the issue of global and regional nationalism. Nationalism can extend beyond individual countries to regional or global movements. It can manifest as a sense of regional identity or as part of broader international movement. So, for instance, we've been hearing about Pan-African movement. Okay, Pan-African movement is a form of nationalism where people of African descent, okay, people of African descent come together, or people of the Black race, they come together to have the love for the African, because it is believed that most of the people of the African descent are Black, and also they are coming from countries within the continent. And so hearing Pan-African movement, quickly it comes to mind, oh, this is a nationalist or a regional or a global nationalism, having the love for a nation of Blacks. There is also the issue of impact on international relations. Nationalism has a significant impact on international relations, influencing diplomatic relations, conflicts, and alliances between nations. Okay, so if a nation is not sovereign, we have already mentioned that one aspect of nationalism is sovereignty. And so if a nation is sovereign, it means that the nation can interrelate to the outside world or international community in the form of international relations. Okay, so it has the impact. Once a sovereign nation or a nation is independent and autonomous, it means that the nation also has influence on any decision when it comes to global politics, when it comes to global goals. Okay, so that is why we have the United Nations uh, comprising member states. And so if the United Nations Assembly, they sit and then advocate for a goal or a global goal, like we had the Millennium Development Goal, we had the Sustainable Development Goal, which is supposed to expire in 2030. That's the Agenda 2030. Okay, so there are 17 specific goals that the Sustainable Development Goals have enumerated. Many countries in the United Nations have ratified that, or they have ratified in the sense that they have appended their signature to ensure that these global goals is achieved. If your nation is not sovereign, okay, it's very difficult for member countries to acknowledge you. Once is you are not sovereign, it means that you cannot be a member of the United Nations. Okay, so that is what we say, that a sovereign state can have relationship with other members of the United Nations, because all members under the United Nations are sovereign and independent of each other. There is also the issue of challenges and criticisms. Nationalism is not without challenges, okay? Extreme forms of nationalism can lead to exclusionary practices, xenophobia, and conflicts between different nationals or ethnic groups. Once upon a time, we heard that there is xenophobia attacks in South Africa. This is extreme form of nationalism. The love that these South Africans had for their country, South Africa, leads to this xenophobic attack. They don't want other foreigners to come to their country with all sorts of accusations and excuses that they are taking their girlfriends, they are marrying their women, they are taking their jobs, they have opened a lot of shops, and what have you. Okay, this is a extreme form of nationalism which leads to this xenophobic attack. Okay, so let's look at patriotic symbols. I've talked about flags, the national anthems, and the Sankofa symbols, the Kente symbols. There are so many symbols. Whenever you see it outside, you see that, oh, this is related to Ghana. Okay, so while nationalism has played a crucial role in the formation of modern states and movements for self-determination, it has also been a source of tension and conflict, particularly when different national or ethnic groups coexist within the same political boundaries. Understanding the complexities of nationalism is essential for comprehending the dynamics of contemporary political and social issues. Okay, so before we continue, do you have any questions? Do you have any um, suggestions? Any questions before I continue? Yes, right.
Okay, Doc, please, with regards to the South Africa incident,
Mm-hmm.
is it that for you to love your country, you need not to accept other people's also into your country? And also, they were raising concern that the foreigners, those who have come into South Africa, they are taking over their businesses and then all stuff. And then when per the report too, they said the people don't like working. So when you went there and then you do some hard working stuff, then they start envying you. So is it because I don't know, is it because that you are loyal to your state or to your country? It means that you need not to accept anybody.
The opportunity that we have here is that a lot of our people are educated. Okay, like we are learning nationalism now, okay, and we are learning that extreme form of nationalism leads to xenophobia and what have you. Those people who were rampaging, they didn't have that form of education. I think the educational system in that country should also let them know that even US, United States of America, immigrants built that nation. You cannot build a nation without immigrants. Okay. The kind of job that the natives in that country will not do, the immigrants will do, and that will help build the nation. Okay. That is why now our country, Ghana, our president is saying that he's not going to block any African from coming to Ghana because he knows, he has now seen that people who come here, they rather make the nation grow. Zimbabwe, when they were having the whites tendering their land and producing all sorts of food and exporting them, they were having money until Mugabe said that, give us our land. And then they started going hungry, poverty all over the place. Okay, so you cannot, as an individual, say that I love my country to the sense that I don't want any person to come to my country. It's because of ignorance. Okay, it's because of ignorance. Even when we were struggling to gain independence and Kwame Nkrumah and co were leading, they were very cautious. They were very cautious. They didn't just stand up and say that we are killing all the Europeans or colonials. No, they took everything gradually, until these colonial masters shot the three armed officers, okay, during the 1948 riots. That Ghanaians were angry and agitated, okay, causing a lot. Even that, they calmed down. They calmed down because eventually we had our self-government where the monarch was still our head of state, where Kwame Nkrumah was the prime minister. And eventually, they drew the 1960 constitution. And so we became a republic. And eventually, the colonial masters left the country. Okay, everything must be gradual. Despite the fact that you love your country, it doesn't mean that you should take cutlasses and be chopping people's head. Okay, it's because of ignorance. Okay. And now that we are becoming a global world or a global village, people are learning and learning to know that you cannot just say that you don't need people. Even Trump, who is sacking or deporting people from US, they are deporting those who are not relevant, those who are who don't have papers, who are engaged in drug trafficking, who are engaged in criminal activities. These are the people they are sending home, not those who have gained their PhD, those who are working in organization and contribute to the nation that they are sacking. No, they are sacking those and deporting those who don't have papers and who are not benefiting the country.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, so we'll try and continue with our lecture. And then when it's 9, we break for some few minutes and come back. So once we've talked about nationalism, let's look at nationhood. Okay, nationhood refers to the state or quality of being a nation. Okay, characterized by a shared sense of identity, culture, history, and often a defined territory. We have already mentioned nation. So when we are talking about nationhood, we are talking about some form of the same nation, but trying to bring out what a country is said to be in a nationhood state. Okay, being in a nation, having the common identity or a sense of identity, culture, history. Okay, so it talks about a collective consciousness of identity of a group of people who consider themselves as part of a distinct community bound by common characteristics, values, language, tradition, and aspiration. Okay, so when we talk about key elements of concept of nationhood, we are talking about common identity, a sense of belonging. The other time we talk about the Jewish nation. Okay, so when we are talking about the Jewish nationhood, what comes to mind in America? We've learned that they are very industrious. They are one people. They have one religion. They believe themselves. And so if they want to develop, they help themselves. Okay, so because they have common identity, they also believe in religion, one religious, they also trace their historical ancestry. There is the issue of shared history and culture. Nations often have a shared history, tradition, customs, and cultural practices that contribute to their collective identity. Okay. There is also the issue of geographical boundaries. Okay. Territoriality. So nations typically have defined geographical boundaries that help establish a sense of belonging and attachment to a specific land or territory. There is also the issue of political structure. We mentioned that there is also the issue of unity and solidarity. When you talk about political structure, we are talking about having a nation having its own political systems, governance, institutions. We have mentioned that during our first lecture. And so when you bring this nationhood being the dynamic concept and evolving over time due to various factors such as social changes, migrations, political developments, and global interactions, is a complex and multifaceted nation encompassing both tangible and intangible aspects, shaping its people's identity and collective consciousness. And so when you get other literature and you read, you realize that Ghana, we pride ourselves as a nation because we have one destiny, common identity. And so wherever we are, we know that we are a nation, we are a sovereign nation, we have political systems in place. At first, even before the Fourth Republic, we had gone through a series of coup d'etats, but now it has ceased. We are practicing our democracy, and people believe that, well, yes, we are one nation with common destiny. And so, even when you go outside and you meet an Ewe person, you are a Kan person and you meet an Ewe person, because of the national or nationhood bond, through unity and solidarity, you go to your brother who is an Ewe, or you go to your brother who is from the northern part, or you go to your brother who is from the central part of the country. That is unity and solidarity when it comes to nationhood. Okay, so let's look at this heavily indebted poor countries. Ghana, once upon a time, we were considered as heavily indebted poor country. So before we continue, we said that nation is complex and multifaceted, encompassing both tangible and intangible. And so the nation Ghana were once considered as poor country, okay, which is intangible a feature associated with this nation. Okay, we consider that heavily indebted poor country. Now we are in the middle age or the middle income country. Mm. The global Human Development Index classify Ghana as a middle income country. Okay, so now you've seen how it is because of dynamism, we've moved from being considered as a poor nation to a country of middle income status. Okay. Okay, so let's take a short break and then we'll come after 9:15. Okay. If you have a question, ask. When it's 9, we will start the break and come after 15 minutes. Ask questions so that we expand more, explain more. Okay, welcome back, Emmanuel. We can continue. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
yes, Emmanuel, let's hear you.
I just want to tell you that I lost my back.
Is that?
I said because of the internet, that's why I'm late.
Oh, don't worry.
I apologize.
Okay, so we'll continue and then. So after break, we would like to continue with the lecture. Citizenship and identity. Citizenship and identity. So what do you see citizenship? We've been hearing about citizenship. It refers to an individual's entitlement to the rights, protection, and responsibilities granted by a nation's government. So it defines an individual's relationship to the state or country and determines their rights and obligations within that political community. So citizenship is a legal status of a recognized member of a particular country. And so there is no person who is living without attaching him or herself to a country. Every person is a citizen of a nation. Okay, that is why there are specifics in our constitution that before somebody is granted citizenship, there should be some trace of the person. Okay, either your grandmother is a Ghanaian or your father and mother are Ghanaians, or you were born in Ghana, but we cannot trace your parents, then the law or the state will register you as a Ghanaian. But some people can trace, for instance, if a Nigerian has come to Ghana and given birth and is gone, maybe the child is around 10 years, and the person can say, oh, my mother's or my mother's mother is a Nigerian, or my mother's mother is a Ghanaian, but my mother, my grandmother's married a Nigerian. And so because they believe in patriarchal society, my mother is a Nigerian. But we'll be searching and searching and searching. We may not see the child's mother. Okay. But once he says the grandmother is a Ghanaian, but though the grandmother is dead, and there are some people who can attest to it that, oh, the child's grandmother is from this house, a Jakoto's house, but the grandmother went to Nigeria and married a Nigerian and gave birth to the child's mother. Okay, So they will trace all these, and then the state will register the child as a Ghanaian because we cannot trace the mother. Meanwhile, the grandmother is a Ghanaian. That is why when we were registering people for the voting or the electoral process, they said that you have to indicate that your grandmother is a Ghanaian. If you can show or people can attest that your grandmother is a Ghanaian, then you have the right to register, okay, as a Ghanaian. So that is how citizenship is given. You cannot just wake up and say that you are a citizen of USA or America. America, they will consider you as a citizen if you are born there, okay, or your parents are from there, okay. So that is why when they deport people, at least they will ask the person, where do you think we should deport you to? And then they will send them to either Nigeria, Ghana, or Rwanda. And so wherever you decide that they should send you, they will send you. A situation where the immigrants are not able to mention, okay, then that is where the countries negotiate with other countries. For instance, UK negotiated with Rwanda, okay, that we want to deport so they signed agreement with Rwanda so that they will deport all the undocumented immigrants to Rwanda, and then the people are processing their documents and go back to UK. Stated earlier, no country is an island. You need immigrants to build your country, and so you can negotiate with other countries to receive the illegal immigrants, and then later they will process their document. But I think it didn't go well. The UK government did not fulfill this part of the contract, and so immigrants are still scattered in the UK. Okay. So that is citizenship. Okay, so let's continue to see some aspects of citizenship. Rights and privileges. Citizenship grants individuals various rights and privileges within the country, such as the right to vote, right to work, right to receive social services, access to health care, right to own property and enjoy legal protection. Okay, so these rights may vary from country to country. So for instance, our 1992 Constitution, okay, give us the fundamental human rights that every citizen should enjoy. So when you have time, read chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution. You see the fundamental human rights spelled out there so that you know your rights as a citizen of Ghana. Okay, so once you are a citizen, you have the privilege to vote. No foreign person can vote in Ghana. You have the privilege to also work. Once you're a citizen, you have the privilege to also have access to healthcare facilities, education. You have the privilege to also own land. All these things are various rights and privileges given to a citizen. For instance, if you are a citizen of US and you need something, it's different from somebody who is a citizen of Ghana and has entered US. Okay. For instance, if a student enters US, he's not a citizen. He's just there to study. So the privileges that American will get, the students from Ghana will not get because the student is not a citizen. Okay. There are also responsibilities and duties. So alongside rights, citizenship entails certain responsibilities and duties. Once you are enjoying these rights, the rights to vote, the rights to do all that, it means that you have to also be responsible and dutiful. Okay, so once you are a responsible citizen, you pay your tax. You ensure that if there are criminals in your country, you report them to the police. You help to protect your country. Okay, so that is the responsibility. So once the laws protects you by giving you certain rights as a citizen, you have to also be responsible and dutiful in the sense that you pay your dues, you fight any external aggression with your might. That is why we have a lot of people enrolled in the army, the police, the immigration, prisons, and what have you, so that in times of need or any external aggression, these citizens who have vowed to protect the nation will go to war against any external aggression. So once the country's laws are protecting you to enjoy your rights, you have to also be responsible. So this can be or can include obeying the laws, paying taxes, serving on juries when called upon, defending the nation, as I indicated, in military service, and participating in democratic process through voting and civic engagement. Okay, so a situation where some people say that oh, I will not go and vote. I will not go and vote. They are angry among themselves as if voting is that like they are doing it for somebody. Once you are a citizen and you don't want anybody at all to use your mandate to rule the nation, a citizen must vote. You should vote. You should vote for the right person to come into power. Okay? If you are a citizen and you say that you are not going to vote because the government in power is making you angry or is annoying you, then you are doing it your own way. It means you don't want to be responsible citizen. Anando says that be responsible citizens. Okay, so that once you are responsible and you're enjoying your rights, you also put the government on its toes. By putting the government on its toes, you are ensuring that everybody benefits from the limited resources of the country. Okay, so that is that. There are also types of citizenship. Citizenship can be acquired through birth, okay, or descent. So as I indicated, through birth means that your parents are Ghanaians and they have given birth to you, or through descent, that your grandparents are Ghanaians and you can claim that you are Ghanaian. We know a lot of people from other African countries who are staying in Ghana because their parents are Ghanaians and they left the shores of Ghana and visited other foreign countries, maybe Liberia, maybe Sierra Leone, maybe Nigeria, or even Cameroon. They were Ghanaians, but they gave birth to such individuals in that country. And the people have traced their descendants to Ghana, and they are claiming to be citizens of the country. The same thing, when they do the ancestry DNA, people trace their descent or ancestry to Ghana and come with documents and what have you, they are given the Ghanaian citizenship. Okay. There is also the issue of dual citizenship, where an individual holds citizenship of 2 or more countries. Okay, in Ghana, we recognize that. That is why some people, when they go to America, Canada, and what have you, they also get this dual citizenship. You go and then you forfeit some rights as a Ghanaian. For instance, once you are a dual citizen, you can vote all right, but you cannot be appointed as a public servant in the country. No. Okay. There are public positions that you cannot hold as a dual citizen, because if you hold that position, it is believed that you get some information and leak to the other country. Okay, so that is why when people are contesting for the MP position, they investigate them. Recently, you've seen how Patrick suffered in the law courts. The dual citizenship that he had with Canada, everything had not completed, but he contested as an MP and the people voted for him. And somebody sent him to court that that you are a dual citizen, you are not supposed to be a public figure. And now you've contested to win. So they sent him to court. Okay. And by the grace of God, he is now free. Somebody from the Northern Party did the same thing, but he died in prison. Okay, these things, we don't have to joke with it. If you are a citizen of a country, it means you have forfeited some of your rights to be a public, but people connive under the darkness of the night and then contest, thinking that people will not see. But people are monitoring everybody in this country. Okay. There is also the issue of citizenship and identity. Okay. Citizenship often contributes to an individual sense of identity and belonging within the nation. Just imagine that as a citizen of Ghana, you go to a place and then you are denied entry. Once you are denied entry, and then you come back to Ghana, and they also deny you that you are a criminal. Just imagine how you will feel. Okay? Because you identify yourself as a Ghanaian, as a citizen of Ghana, but because of your criminal records, they come and they say that we cannot accept you as a Ghanaian. And even if we are accepting you, then we are sending you to jail. You are not going to enjoy that rights and privileges as a citizen. No, because of your criminal record. We'll send you to jail and you will not enjoy the rights as a citizen. You don't have the freedom to be moving around. Okay, so that is that. It can also play a role in shaping cultural, social, and political affiliations. Okay, citizenship. Citizenship can help you. That is why sometimes when people go outside and become Americans and then Europeans and what have you, British, sometimes they feel like, oh, why don't I come home? So they work for some time. And when they are getting to their retirement, they come back home and engage in politics. Some even enroll in the law school and start practicing law and defending people in the law courts, because they have identified themselves as Ghanaians and they love to be affiliated with anything associated with Ghana. So that is how it is. We also have global citizenship. In a broader context, global citizenship emphasizes that individuals have responsibilities and duties beyond national boundaries. So we have Kofi Annan, who is a Ghanaian, was once a global citizen. Okay, seeing to it that world's interest is fulfilled. Yeah, Kofi Annan was once the Secretary General of the United Nations. He was a global citizen before he died some years back. And so he was a Ghanaian, all right. And because he also worked with the United Nations, he rose through the ranks and became a global citizen. Okay. So despite the fact that he was a Ghanaian, he also rose the ranks to become a global citizen. Yes, let's hear you. Oh, I thought somebody wanted to ask a question. Okay. So I'm left with only Nicholas. Nicholas, are you there? Nicholas, are you on call? Nicholas, are you here? Nicholas.